I'm Jeff Cook,
And I'm TJ Wilson.
and this is Around the Circle.
I'm walking slowly, I'm taking my time. All I could talking is starting to rhyme. I'm letting go of lonely, letting go of strife. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life.
The Enneagram is a map of the human personality. It's a tool for navigating relationships. It creates language for what motivates us and helps us look at the way we look at everything else. Most importantly, the Enneagram's a mirror because sometimes you need help seeing yourself. My name's Jeff Cook. I'm a philosopher in Greeley, Colorado, and with me is TJ Wilson, businessman, lover of theology, and Enneagram ninja.
Hello.
Boss.
Hey.
So in our first discussion with the great Joey Shuey, she brought up a concept which we've been chewing on for a bit called processing. It had helped me think through some things that I've been kicking around literally for years.
Yeah.
And it kind of had a key that opened some of the doors here. And so we're going to be talking about processing with action, processing with thinking, and processing with feeling. That needs unpacking, I bet, before we get started. And you're the man to do it.
Yeah, sure. That's fair. So this is a new set of triads. We have talked about this a little bit in the unpacking of Joey's episodes because she blew our minds. But this idea is that when you start to look at some of the ways that some of these types behave in the world, some of the things that are common among types, you start to see some patterns that. This is a new way to explain some of those patterns. One of the things that we have talked about a lot over the last several years is how similar 8s, 1s, and 3s look. And when you think that they process with doing, then you start to see, the pieces start to line up. So 8s, 1s, and 3s, they take in the world from a different spot, but they process all of that with doing. It's 8s and 1s obviously are in the body center, the doing center, but 3s aren't. But 3s are still really active people. You know a lot of if you know 3s, you know that they're doing people. Like they want to get stuff done. They're achievement based. And so when you think about how these three types process how they're going to handle all of the information coming at them, they're processing from that body center, from that doing center. Then you move a little bit and you see 2s, 4s, and 6s. It seems like they're more outwardly emotional than other types. And that's because they process with their feeling center. 2s, 4s, and 6s, they process everything through that feeling space. Like, how do I feel about this? How do you feel about this? This is the thing that we need to address, is the feeling center, the relational, the connectedness of us and how we feel about things and each other and all of the things that go along with that heart center. And that leaves us with 5s, 7s, and 9s, which all process with thinking. And 5s, 7s, and 9s, like if you watch them, if you know them, you interact with these types, it may seem like 5s, 7s, and 9s are always thinking, are always talking about logic, are always talking about rationality, and like what's the objective way to think about these things. And that's because they process with their thinking center.
There's a common puzzle in Enneagram literature of 3s, 6s, and 9s taking in the world through their repressed center. 9s are action repressed, but they're taking the world in through their body. 3s are feeling repressed, taking the world in through their emotional center. 6s, thinking repressed, taking the world in through their head. Some of Joey's solution to that in terms of what's taking place in these numbers as they process is that they are processing the world not with their primary center. They're shifting to the left, as it were, and processing with a different center.
Yeah, so that's like what we have taught and what we have sort of been led to believe, that the way that this idea is taught is that 3, 6, and 9s take in everything through their primary center, but they don't engage from their primary center. And Joey's theory is that we all shift and take in through, instead of having equal access to the other two centers. Joey's theory is that we shift to a particular center. 9 shift to the head, 6s shift to the heart, and 3s shift to the body. And so in the same way that everyone else has a sort of supporting center, 3s, 6s, and 9s, it's not, she doesn't really think it's a supporting center. It's this move for these 3 types where we pick up some of the behaviors at this other center.
So all of this unlocked what I want to call drive. Drive is another set of triads, and it's been real helpful for me. It's something, as TJ said, it's when you look at kind of the Enneagram diagram, this begins to emerge, and trying to get some language around it has been just one of those puzzles been working on for a while. And I think it's about the motive of our secondary center.
Yeah.
Or in Joey's language, our processing center. We process in a way that creates its own motive.
Mm-hmm.
TJ and I have routinely talked about head types being motivated to find security and heart types being motivated to find attention and body types being motivated to have autonomy or control. And it's real similar on this front, that when you identify the processing center, it's almost like there's this other kind of motive that jumps up. And so, as was said, 8, 3s, 1s, there's something shared there. And perhaps we can just jump into this.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that's shared there?
Yeah.
I think there's something worth saying about the motive given our processing center. Because once you process the world, you want something. And what's wanted by 8s, 3s, and 1s seems real similar to me. It comes out of that. Why are you acting in the world? So this was something that she had pointed out, that 8, 3, 1s are kind of the engines of the groups or organizations that they're parts of. Well, what do they want? And lo and behold, it seems like what they want is something real similar, and it's coming out of how they're processing the world.
Yeah.
So when you look at 8s, 3s, and 1s, you want to set this idea up?
Yeah, we use the word achievement. This is, if there's nothing to show for what you've done, then did you really do anything? This is accomplishing tasks. This is setting goals and reaching the goals. This is like what are we getting done? What are we getting accomplished that is like work? It's not emotional work. It's not. It can be, I think, emotional work. I think when these types go to therapy, the job is to do good at therapy. And so this can be any type of what are you doing to accomplish these goals? How are you achieving your aims?
The thing that's going through my mind is that if you're processing with action, you want to exert your will in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And each of these types do that. It seems to me that 8s very much is an outward exerting of will. 1s is a very internal focused exerting of will. 3s are going both ways. And that understanding that I'm good in the world, or good may not be the right word there, but understanding that things are going well in the world is known by whether or not my will is being enacted.
Yeah.
For all these numbers. Isn't that right?
And I think it's it's like the opposite of that adage that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. I think for 8s, 1s, and 3s, it is about the destination.
Yeah.
The journey may be important, but the destination is the thing that is accomplished. And I think these types you have to achieve something.
Just execution-oriented folks, 8s, 3s, and 1s. We're here to do the thing. And if you're here to do the thing, then clearly there is some target there.
Right.
And the target for each of them is achievement. The 8s and 3s, real similar. They have the same stance, right? So they're assertive types. They take hold of what they want, and they're taking hold of it through action. That's
right.
Primary of being in the world. 1s are the only ones that are trying to earn through action.
Right.
It makes them unique here. They're the only type that tries to earn what they want through action.
Right.
But all of them, it's the action-orientedness through which they're processing. Am I good in the world? Is my will being, realized? I want to say this is how they're finding happiness, stability, understanding of themselves. Are things going well?
Mhm.
And all the other types are going to be similar, but with different targets.
Yeah, it's a when we use the word processing, it's a way to understand if you're getting to your goal. And for 8s, the goal is it's not like they do not want to be controlled. They want to be in charge of their own lives, and the way you do that is by doing it. For 1s, they want to be good, they want to be whole, they want to not be corrupt or anything, and the way they do that is by earning it. 3s want to be seen as amazing, professional, accomplished, praiseworthy people, and the way they do that is by accomplishing all of those things.
8s and 1s, being part of the body triad, want to be in control. It's not what 3s want. 3s want attention.
Mm-hmm.
But notice the action orientedness is all the same here.
Yep.
It's action in order to gain attention.
Right.
Whereas 8s and 1s, it's action in order to establish control, either out there or internally.
Right.
It's the first step. Did I say that we were going to stumble bumble, kind of float some ideas and see what happens at the beginning of this podcast?
But I hope that people have figured that out by now. A lot of it, like we've been thinking about this for a really long time, but a lot of this is us sort of like in process of figuring out our language.
See, the thing is, some of the best conversations CJ and I have is the first time through the material.
Yep.
Might as well put that on tape. What else were we
For
going to
all
record?
you lucky listeners.
There wasn't a Muppets Christmas Carol Part 2 to tackle.
Sadly, and also thank God.
Next, I like the word belonging for 2s, 4s, and 6s. It's the relational quality. The 6s are shifting into the heart triad here. And you want to unpack these types?
Yeah, so I mentioned that like these are the types that are most outwardly emotional, and they're processing through their emotional place. In that the sense of they need to know their spot in the group. They need to know how other people feel about them. They need to know how they feel about other people, and the way that they sort of make steps to move forward is by addressing that emotional space and by sharing their emotions and asking other people to respond to that.
Same story here for me is that the 2s and the 4s who are in the heart triad want attention. The 2 moves outward to get the attention. The 4 moves inward to get the attention.
Mm-hmm.
And the 6 is, in essence, going both ways. But really what the difference for the 6 is that the 6 is trying to gain attention to get a different kind of motive fulfilled, and that's security.
Right.
If I get your attention, I will actually get the security I'm seeking, which is what the head triad wants.
It's less likely that you're going to find 6s who are comfortable being alone. You might find a lot of 5s, a lot of 8s, 7s. Like there's a lot of types that are fine with sort of like a more solitary life. And I don't think 6s are that way because they need to know where they stand. Because they are earning types who get their security from an external source. And in order to do that, you have to know your place in the group. You have to belong to something or someone or a tribe or a team or a job or whatever it is. There's some type of connectedness that is part of the security for 6s, and they have to earn that security by following the rules of the group.
What's interesting to me here is 2s and 6s real similar on that front because they're both reactive types.
Mm-hmm.
So they both earn what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them are being relationally, they're processing with their feelings. The outlier here are 4s.
Right.
Lo and behold, 4s are unique here. They are going to withdraw further to get in touch with their emotional center.
And that does something similar in helping them learn their place in the group, because if nobody follows them, then they know they weren't part of the group anyway. And also, the thing that they're more concerned about is their own emotions. They're less concerned about everyone else's, and that's part of the withdrawal.
all of it being processed, again, through the emotional center.
Right.
I want to point something out here, which I think is just desperately fascinating. There's none of the earning types earn through thinking. 1's earned through action, 2's earned through feeling, and 6's earned through feeling.
Mm-hmm.
The repressed center goes neglected.
Yep.
Nobody earns through thinking. And we'll see that with all the other ones. None of the assertive types are going to take hold through feelings, and none of the withdrawn types are going to get what they want through action.
Yeah.
It's just a fun little combination there.
And I think that's part of what the sort of like big picture wisdom of this grouping is that this is another way to categorize the repressed center.
Yep.
But also considering the processing center.
Yeah. Lastly, our 5, 7s, and 9s. We're going to talk about their target being ease. That is, there's some like relief that's being sought here. And again, the 9 is shifting and using the tools of the head center here in terms of processing with their head.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about 5, 7s, 9s?
Yeah, so we actually did spend a decent amount of time trying to figure out the right word here, and we're still we're not positive about ease yet. But the idea behind ease is that there is a objective, reasonable, like this is the right path forward, and it's also the one that is at the most sort of harmonic level with the way things work. And so these types all process with that thinking center, and the processing has to do with what is the most objective, reasonable, rational answer to this thing in front of me.
Yep.
When we talk about ease, this feeds into the sort of main motive of these types in a way that really helps get us there. It's not peace. It's not even necessarily security. That when we think about ease, it's what is the sort of quote unquote right way to make this as simple as possible. I've sort of been reintroduced lately to the adage that work smart, not hard. That is part of how this grouping thinks about the processes their world is let's work smart. Let's not do the hard way. Let's do the easy way. Let's do we want to minimize the amount of output or distress or things that we have to tolerate in order to get over these humps.
I had an immediate mental image of what work smart, not hard looks like, and it's Tom Sawyer.
Okay.
Tom Sawyer, the 7, is inviting people on an adventure, and it's painting my fence.
Yeah.
And he makes it really fun and like it's so special. And then all the other little boys come and they're painting it for him, and he goes, he doesn't remain painting the fence. He goes and he sits there and watch him.
Why would he keep painting the fence? All these other people are doing it for him.
Ease.
Work smart, not hard. And then you can pay people to do things for you. It's great.
I had a very long conversation with one Beckett Cook about this as a strategy for not having to ever have to buy new tires. He's having tire problems right now.
Sure, yeah.
He's going to become, his solution was, I'm going to become wealthy enough to just buy a new car every time my tires need to be changed. It's like
just straight up skip the step.
It's like,
yeah.
So you're gonna be that guy that's just buying packs of underwear so you don't have to do laundry. Okay,
work smart, not hard.
I don't know that that's.
If you got the money, why would you do laundry? You just buy new stuff.
This does not make me a very good parent, I think.
No, it makes him a 5.
I'll take it. 5s are withdrawing for thinking. 9s are withdrawing for thinking. They're both in the withdrawn stance.
Yep.
That seems to me to encapsulate a lot of what's going on in the patterns of 5s and 9s.
Mm-hmm.
And let me back up. The targeting of ease really makes sense for me in that the 5 is trying to escape outward fears.
Yep.
The 7 is seeking to ease to escape inward fears.
Mm-hmm.
The 9, it's not about fears, but they want ease. It's those things that are out there seeking to, obstruct to gain control. What's the word that Riso and Hudson use there? It's
trying to keep the world out there from affecting us and the world inside from affecting us. Yeah.
Affecting.
Yeah.
They don't want to be affected by the world. And it's a different kind of image for ease there. Fears are often quite mental in nature, but that's not how it works for 9s.
No, not at all.
Right?
No, it's not about fear. It's about we want to find the path of least resistance. And I have so many of these things in my these examples in my life that it's hard to pick just one because this is the way I move about my life. I own a coffee shop, and I design the coffee shop to be literally the least amount of movement possible. And I think I've used this example before, but the grinders for the espresso, they have space on the counter and they can move around the counter. And for me, whenever I am working, I pull them as close to the edge of the counter as I can get and still have room to do what I need to do, because it's literally less movement every time. And I do not understand why other people don't think about it that way. And it's because I am looking for ease. I want the path of least resistance.
That's a good example. Play it out with 5s and 7s as well. The 7s, I think somebody just coming to this list go, 7s aren't looking for ease. They're doing things else all the time. I suppose it's the case we already used the Tom Sawyer example, but can you unpack that?
Yeah, I think that, I'm looking for harmony with my environment, but 7s are looking for harmony with their inner environment. So they don't want to be bothered by the things that are hard. They're looking to avoid being stuck in hard places. And so when we talk about ease with 7s, it's about not having to deal with the hard stuff. Because why would you be stuck in that hard place when you could just go have fun instead? And life can be easier than dealing with all this garbage.
Yeah, it makes sense. Bang. I suppose we should talk 5s as well.
Yeah, and it's just the
5s.
the opposite direction with 5s. It's trying to prepare yourself from all the things that could happen out there, so when they come up, you know how to deal with it. You don't have to work hard to prepare because you've already done that preparation. You don't have to learn how to buy tires because tires in and of themselves are an entire field of knowledge. And if you don't want to learn about tires, you just plan on getting a new car. And you make sure you have the resources to skip this ridiculous step that you don't want to deal with.
That's some real aversion to the fine folks who sell tires out there.
It's just the whole thing. I get it.
What was funny is my wife made him go, and he had a fantastic experience. Just go. They will come out. They will check your tires. They will tell you about your tread. They'll tell you what you need, and it'll be great. And he actually had a great experience. So,
and he also probably learned a lot about tires that he did not know before, and now he's excited to have that extra knowledge.
Actually, you're not wrong. All right. Well, I want to go through 2 lists. We're going to go around the circle 3 times in this episode.
Love it.
I bet you we could fly through this, but I think I find this very helpful. The first list would be something like, here's the motive of the type paired with the drive.
Love it.
I think when you see these together, it really begins to pop. So just let's start with the 1s. 1s seek autonomy over themselves. They are going to achieve this through a sense of inner achievement. Again, 1s, 8s, 3s, all want achievement. 8s, 9s, 1s, body types, want autonomy. That says quite a bit, I think, about 1s.
Yeah.
Is the desire for autonomy by accomplishing that inner achievement over themselves, having a sense of that.
Yep. That folds in these several different concepts of earning, autonomy, goodness, the way, this is an easy way, like a shorthand to describe some of the sort of like base things that inform who ones are. They gain autonomy through acquiring inner achievement.
Moving to the twos. Twos likewise are going to earn, just like the ones, they're going to earn attention, though. Being a part of the heart triad,
Yep.
twos want attention. They're going to gain that attention through acquiring that outward belonging.
Yeah.
And belonging is the target of their drive.
Yep. And we've talked about all of these things before. We're just finding shorthand. This encapsulates the doing things for others in order to store up favors. This is all of the stuff about when you meet twos and they say, this is all of the family that I have, that they gain attention through a sense of belonging.
As I'm looking at the list, you said this was very helpful. We have talked about these things in the past. When I look at this list that we're going to go down, this is the shorthand that helps me just do something very fast to remind myself of the person that I'm speaking to and where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Because you kind of do all the gymnastics and say, how do sixes function? Here's the shorthand.
Yeah.
Like this is the skinny on your kid, your spouse, your friend, the person at work that bugs you, etc.
And if you fold in the thing that we're leaving out of this shorthand, then it's like the full package.
What are we leaving out?
The repressed center.
Oh, there you go.
Ones gain autonomy through acquiring it through achievement, and they don't have a clear sense of their thinking space.
Have a difficult time getting their head around all the things.
Yeah.
And so too, the twos.
Yep.
Threes, however, don't have a clear sense of their feeling space. Threes are going to take hold of attention through acquiring an inner and outer sense of achievement.
Yep.
Both those are really important. I think that we see the outer with threes. The sense of an inner achievement, I think, is vastly more important to understanding the heart of threes.
And it's you have to understand that, like, the deception of threes is not about lying about how great they are. It's about this is part of where we have to go to understand threes. The deception that we associate with threes is about hiding whatever they think is inside and sort of becoming their achievements. It's not just that they want to seem great, it's that they become great so that they seem great.
Right. The feeling repression there, really worth noting.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've said this before. There's a famous person in biography came out on him, and there was the story told that he got up at his father's funeral and boasted about, like, the whole eulogy that he gave was about his real estate holdings in the city that he was a part of. That was the eulogy. And then he said,
Look at me now, Dad.
Achievement.
Yeah.
And feeling repression.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it is. Somebody hasn't done some inner work. Fours gain attention through acquiring inner belonging.
Yeah, fours' attention for them is not necessarily about others. It's attention on their feelings, their own sense of self-worth and all of that stuff. And it's an inner sense of belonging. They want to be true to themselves, and they want other people to see who they are and accept them for them.
Drive here feels very grounding for a lot of these types.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is something that often gets perhaps overlooked with fours, is just the need to feel grounded through that sort of, I don't want to call it an activity, but processing.
Yeah.
If one doesn't feel grounded, how can you act in the world? And there's the action repression.
Yeah, there's this sense that it's easy to paint the broadness of fours as saying that, like, they really like drama, but it's not true. They express the fullness of whatever they're feeling. And that can be big. That can be really high highs and really low lows, and they want they want it to be full and true, and to say that they just like drama, it puts them into this weird box that eliminates the reality that they are trying to be true to themselves.
Yeah.
That they're trying to find that sense of inner belonging.
My beloved brother is a 4 who canceled coming to Thanksgiving, and his reason for not coming was in essence this. It was, I just don't feel good about coming right now.
Yep.
And it's elusive at one level. Like, okay, what's going on? And what's going on is he's feeling a lack of grounding given how he processes the world.
Yep.
That's stalling his action. But that I suppose this is coming across as a negative. This doesn't have to be a negative. I assume there's a real positive here for 4s.
Yeah, to paint 4s as overly dramatic is unfair. To say that no 4s are overly dramatic is untrue. But lots of the rest of us are also overly dramatic. So
I was setting you up to give a compliment, and
I told you this is
here comes Michael Jordan
we're
for
in
the dunk.
Dangerous place for me.
Well, 5s. 5s are going to gain security. They're going to withdraw for security through acquiring an outer ease. I put the outer there because it's interesting because the 7s are going for inner, 5s are going for outer. It may not be obvious, but that's how the system works. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a preparation for all the things that may come at you. It's a plan and a bank account that supports it to make sure that you never have to learn how to deal with tires. You could just buy a new car. It's all of the things. It's the spare bank account that nobody knows about. It's the learning everything there is to know about dance and never actually going and dancing because you want to be prepared for any situation that might come at you, so that when it does, you can enter into it with ease.
I need to keep using the word. It's the drive. The drive is so important here. It's the drive for outer ease for the 5. The drive for inner belonging for the 4.
Yep.
That's so core, it seems to me. And as I'm looking at the list, I'm just like, there it is in very concise, clear language. 6 is also security seekers. Gain that security through acquiring both an inner and outer belonging. I think the inner here, just like the 3s, real important to note.
Yep.
As well. We talk quite a bit about the 6s and the outer belonging. We should really reference the inner belonging as well here.
Yeah, because there's we talk about 6s being verbal processors. We talk about them being earners. There's a sense of putting all of the things that are going on inside out there so that someone else can validate it so that I know how to feel about it. And there's so much about what's 6s don't trust themselves, and so they need someone else to tell them that they can trust themselves. So, and it's just this weird roundabout way of getting to this place where they can start to have that sense of inner belonging, to where they can start to feel like their own thoughts and processes are secure.
Yep. Notice trusting yourself is a relationship.
Yes.
With yourself.
Yes.
Even I can see a person asking themselves, do I belong? You know, and that being part, do I belong with these folks out here? But also do I even feel comfortable in my own skin kind of imagery?
Yeah. And 6s often don't.
And notice the thinking repression that's all over this.
Yep.
We didn't mention the action repression for 5s, but that outer ease ends up being an action repression because you are seeking the outer ease by collecting all these things so that you don't have to spend all your time acting. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Way easier to learn how to dance by learning, by studying a book than to actually dance.
Yep. And so too, the 6s, thinking repression. I don't know how to think about myself in relation to others. That can be a big part. All of that coming out of motive here. 7s are going to gain security through acquiring inner ease. That inward side here, again, really worth talking about.
Yeah, this is there's so much about how sevens are avoiding the places where they have to deal with hard stuff.
Mhm.
It's like wanting to enjoy life, yes, absolutely, but it's by getting away from the things that make life a bummer. And so if they're looking for security, if they're looking for that on the other side of the street thing all the time, there's something happening inside that I'm trying to get away from. So finding security by just constantly moving away from it, by sort of ignoring, by glossing over, by reframing in real time so that bad memories for other people are actually fine memories for me because I don't remember the bad stuff. There's a sense of trying to make the inner voice, the inner thoughts, the inner person easy to deal with so that we can just enjoy life. That's security.
Yep. And everything you said is a definition or a long explanation of what feeling repression looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, again, just all over this sort of language. See? Stumbled on something. By the way, I need to footnote something which I hadn't thought of, is I keep talking about directions, inner, outer, and the rest.
Yeah.
Real quick, dear listener, if you're not familiar with our work on affect groups, the skinny is that 1s, 4s, and 7s, their energy goes inward. 5s, 2s, and 8s, their energy goes outward. And 3, 6s, and 9s are focused in both directions. Riso and Hudson do great work on this in The Wisdom of the Enneagram. It's like 2 pages. It's near the front somewhere. But if you want more, do find our work on relationships or affect groups. I think that was last fall.
Sure.
Can't remember what.
And who knows when people are listening to this?
Right. That's true.
If it's 2040 right now, it was not last year.
No. We have a book that has detailed all of this. You go to their local. Well, Barnes and Noble doesn't exist anymore in 2040, does it?
A subsidiary of Amazon.
Right.
Yeah.
You can download it into your brain chip.
There you go.
At
Perfect.
At xownseverything.com. 8s. 8s are going to gain the autonomy they want through acquiring outer achievement. The one type that doesn't resonate quickly for me with achievement as the word is 8s.
Oh, I was thinking the exact opposite. I
Perfect.
felt like this was
Unpack it.
the easiest thing to see because we have talked about this a lot, that like 8s think very, very quickly and they're ready, that they are moving while the rest of us are still talking about what thing we should be addressing.
Mm-hmm.
And like 8s are ready to go. And so their sense of autonomy, their sense of not being controlled, their sense of like being able to exert their will in the world comes from their ability to act. And so like you interact with 8s, they're not like they're just doing the things that they think need to be done. This is one of the things that my father-in-law is an 8, and we're in the process of making Christmas lists for our families, and like the struggle with my father-in-law is that he doesn't want anything because he just gets the things that he wants.
Right.
So you can't buy gifts for him because he doesn't want anything, because he's already done it. And in that way, he has control over his own life. But when it comes to Christmas, now it's a problem because we don't know what to get him. But like this is true. Like all of the 8s that I've ever interacted with, this is something that you can see about them. If there is something to do, they want to do it. And if there is not something to do to solve the problem, to fix the situation, to address whatever, if there isn't something to do, they want to move on.
I think it's the case that not to muddy the waters, my experience of self-protective 8s, I think is coloring this in terms of how I'm thinking about achievement here.
Yeah.
I do think it's worth noting the feeling repression here as well, in terms of let's get things done so that we can move on.
Yep.
Means we're moving, and it doesn't matter how anyone else feels about us moving as well.
Yes. And if anything takes time, like so, just picking a random thought example out of the air. This doesn't necessarily tie to any particular person I know, but they're like, say you have an 8 who is very interested in having a 3D printer. The concern that someone like me sees with that situation is that in order to have a 3D printer that works, you have to learn literally everything there is to know about it and how to, like, it takes time to set up and to calibrate. And if you ever move it from this spot to this spot, you have to recalibrate it. And there's all these things that go into making sure that a 3D printer works. And an 8 might look at that particular situation and say, F that, I'm out of here, because this is too much work to try and make this thing should just work.
Yes.
I shouldn't have to learn about it in order for it to work.
That 3D printer takes up so much space in my basement.
It's not even that big. It's fine.
Says the hoarder.
Yes, correct. Yeah. The guy with literally 3 unworking espresso machines in his house.
Speaking of 9s, 9s are going to gain autonomy through acquiring inner and outer ease. You want to talk shop?
Yeah, this is, I mean, if everyone's just like doing the easy thing, like if we're all just doing what we're supposed to do and living our lives, then no one's telling me what to do. I'm not telling anyone else what to do. I'm not a burden. Nobody's a burden on me. Like that, ease is harmony. Ease is shalom. Ease is like if everything's going well, then we don't ever have a problem. We don't ever have a conflict. We don't ever butt up against each other. Like this is a great way to think about 9s and traffic, because like in any kind of driving situation, my biggest issue is that if everyone else would just do what they're supposed to do, then we wouldn't ever have any of these problems. My concern is not about like people being like it's the issue is if you just do the zipper thing when it comes to merging, then everything goes fine. There's no more traffic jams. Just do the zipper thing like that. Don't slow down when you should be speeding. Like, just do it. I want ease, and I want things in my life to be easy. Like the world should be the simplest method possible, and 9s are trying to keep all of their internal stuff under control as well. And we want things to be easy. We don't want things to be hard or we don't like complications. We don't like unnecessary difficulties in places where it shouldn't be. And that includes in all of our internal stuff and all of our external stuff.
And you will notice how easily action repression flows.
Yep.
The thing that I was thinking as you were talking was this is how TJ comes to personal finance, which you've talked about in the past. It's, you know what ease looks like? It looks like, do I have money in my bank account? Check. We're good.
Yep.
And that's the extent of TJ's desire to engage personal finance.
Seriously. It's great. It never bites me in the ass.
Also, ease flowed into our vocabulary real fast. We were debating this the entire for like 20 minutes before we started recording. We're like, this word doesn't work. This word doesn't work. How about this one? Well, let's try it and see what happens.
Yeah, ease works. Once we got there.
All right. So as promised, I have a second list that we need to go through.
Great.
I love pairing this stuff with the passions. We just released our episode with Hunter Mobley. I think it just pops immediately for me when you talk about drive And when you don't realize your target, so you're driven to grab hold of this target, achievement, belonging, or ease. When it doesn't happen, the passion emerges.
Yeah.
It's a bang bang. Notice when ones don't experience the inner achievement they desire, they're going to get angry at themselves. Clearly, you aren't doing good enough to see the results. Whatever it is that you're obsessed about making better within you must be your fault.
Yeah, I think this list also, like when you also fold in the stance.
Okay, yeah,
I think
you haven't earned it.
that like just colors this and like fills it out, and it's just there, and it's beautiful, and now it makes like it's real. It's like, because earning types,
yeah,
like when the unrealized need for achievement means wrath at the self, and look at the reality that, like, you didn't earn it.
Let's do it by stance. I like that, because we can just talk about earning and how it pairs with the passions. Because I think because you'll notice the passions have that kind of image.
Yep.
So ones can't earn the inner achievement that they are targeting, wrath itself.
Yep.
Twos are also earners. Twos want outward belonging, so they're going to try and earn the outward belonging. It's not realized. Notice what happens.
Pride comes out. The way that they understand their place in the world has to do with other people. And as earners, pride sneaks in and says, you're better than this.
Mm-hmm. Comes out in language, in relationships. These are all the things that I've done for you, especially if twos are very close to somebody.
Yep.
Then that pride can come. But it's the sense of that they have done X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And that X, Y, and Z was desired by the other folks, and that it therefore earned them the belonging that they were seeking by gifting their energy, gifting their gifts, serving in these ways.
Yep.
Sixes are earners. Sixers also want that outward belonging, also want inward belonging. We already kind of talked about this, but the doubt that comes in is the passion that emerges when that's not realized.
Yeah.
So if you don't feel like you belong inwardly, outwardly, there it is.
And it's doubt is a relational process. Like it's a relational thing. It's you doubt other things or other people or yourself. Like that doubt has to do with how things are related.
The withdrawn types, you'll notice the nature of the sin shifts. It's again like there's an energy, it feels like to me, with wrath, pride, and doubt.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Yep. Notice
how the passions of envy, greed, and sloth kind of go inward a bit. So fours are going to withdraw for an inward sense of belonging. When they don't feel that way, it turns into envy.
Yeah. Why not me? What's wrong with me that I don't get these things that I want?
It's an unhealthy comparison.
Yeah.
Spikes.
Yep.
Somewhat, by the way, somebody had noted in one of the books I was reading the other day of just that 2s, 3s, and 4s, like the comparison is the word you need to internalize to understand these types. And like half of my relationships with heart types all of a sudden made way more sense in terms of the conversations we get stuck on. Yeah. And I get defensive. I was like, well, okay, so we're comparing this and that. And then anyway, not helpful.
Nope. Because you don't see it that way. And
also, yeah, I was in a conversation with a 4 who was comparing themselves to me in our station in life, and it ended up being, I'm going through my whole biography, which I don't think I often do, in order to establish this is you do realize that I have experienced some hardship. Like I realize that things are it may appear that things are going quite well for me, Yeah, I don't know. Like I got
But
sucked
you-
into that sort of conversation. So
And you're fighting a losing battle because
Oh,
you've
I
definitely
lost,
not
definitely.
experienced as much hardship as any four.
nor was I able to describe it in the poetic language that they did in our
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
That comes out. That ends up being. What am I trying to say here? The reason that the passions, the list of passions end up exposing places that are unhealthy in us, bring unhealth to others. And anyway, Trixie, fives are going to withdraw for outward peace, and they do so through greed. Again, we kind of had already hinted at this. Greed flows real easily into this picture.
You collect and retain in order to protect yourself.
Store up in overabundance. And we haven't mentioned it yet, but that includes your emotional life, yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you have no idea what other people are going to do with the inner workings of your mind and your heart, and why would you share that with other people when they might abuse it?
Lastly, as nines are going to withdraw for an inward and outward sense of peace, and that can, when they don't have that, translates into sloth.
And there again, inward and outward, it's so much easier to not care than to be moved by something that you previously cared about. It's taking my peace, then fine, I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, what is that? It's like a doubling down on ease. I'm just going to get more easy.
Yep. Oh, you want me to help you move? I'm going to take a nap.
Assertive types. Threes, when they have an unrealized need for that inward and outward achievement, notice, will begin to deceive not only other people but themselves.
And I'm wrestling with Russ Hudson really likes vanity here instead of deceit, and I'm toying with that a lot. I'm wrestling with it in my mind to see how I feel about it. But
I'll pitch the question because I've seen this before: that which one's the fixation and which one's the passion. The question ends up being which one is in your mind. Is the vanity in your mind, or is the deceit in your mind for the three?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how to answer that. Got to talk to some more threes about it, but they've got to be really honest about their own vanity.
So we're gonna get reframed information on this one.
Yeah. Either way, so that not getting the praise, not like experiencing any type of visible failure, like losing the place where threes really stumble, this place of really believing the lies about believing the lie that the mask that you put on is the real you, like that place of deceit. Again, talking about the stances, like this is an outward display of this passion. Like it's a projected outward kind of thing, and it's also independent of how other people might react to it.
Yeah,
I think that's part of the fact that they are also deceiving themselves. It does not require somebody else to be tricked in order for it to be deceit or even vanity. Like this loss of attention pushes them into these unhealthy places where they're going to pump themselves up.
that was apt because Arnold Schwarzenegger's a three.
Yeah.
So, by the way, threes, if you haven't listened to Suzanne Stabile's episode from December, I see this down the timeline. People down the timeline are going to miss this. It's December 2023. It's Q&A, but she does, like, the first half is on threes, and it was really great. And I had no paper to write things down, and thinking repressed one that I am, I can't remember what she said, but it was really great.
I believe it. She has a lot of great things to say about threes.
Sevens and eights. Sevens are going to have, when they have an unrealized need for inner ease, moves them to gluttony.
Yeah, it becomes consumption at that point.
Yep.
Let's drink until we can't feel feelings anymore.
And that's the target. You're driven to that target.
Yep.
In unhealthy ways. That's what it really is. The passions are about being driven towards your target in unhealthy ways.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's good. When we did our shadow series, that's in essence what we were saying. And all of these passions are like seeking to meet your genuine good needs as a type, but doing so in, sinister, self-destructive ways.
Right.
Lastly, 8s, when they have an unrealized need for outward achievement, moves them to lust. And as is so often said, lust is about intensity of experience.
Yeah, it's like not having control means that you like sort of double down on control. Like you give into carnal behavior and carnal desires. Like it's this, if you can't do anything to get the control you want to have over yourself, then you might just let yourself be taken over by the animal instincts that you have.
I suppose as I'm reading the list, I'm seeing just aggression there in terms of somebody wants to control me.
Mm-hmm.
The intensity of experience rises at that point as the most obvious solution and may not be a rational counterbalance. Just severely, you can imagine the person who severely overplays their hand.
Yeah, and I think this also, like, you can see this in playing out in other ways as well, because like when we talk about self-protective 8s and like the moving to this place of sort of retreating from the rest of the world, like there's still that that sort of carnal nature. It's just not expressed in a like punch the world kind of way. It's in a fine, I'm just going to go over here and find all my needs met in a different place. It's still it's still doing something to try and get to the place where you are the only one in control of your life.
If you had said ahead of time you need to go around the circle 3 times in less than an hour and 15 minutes, I would have bet large swaths of money. It could not happen. Not possible given the two of us.
Even just looking at the notes, I was certain this was going to be a 2-hour podcast.
So speedy.
Well, it's also like we're finding sort of a systematic way to look at stuff that we've already talked about.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Someday this will be on paper, but for those of you who want, who have to go back and write everything down, God love you.
Yeah, totally fine. We get it. We've done it.
Big idea as I'm looking back over it, there is a motive of our processing center. That's what it really is. It's you have a motive that we could associate with our primary center.
Mm-hmm.
Processing center is different, and as Joey said, it's not always, your secondary center or your primary center. It's something else.
But notice that this does sort of like the way that a lot of the groupings put 369 sort of in the center of those groupings. This puts the idealists in the center of those groupings.
Yeah.
Because 1s are motivated by the body, and they also process with the body. 4s are motivated by the heart, and they also process with the heart. The 7s are motivated by the head, and they also process with the head.
Yeah, if you were going to draw the triangles,
the
1, 4, and 7 would be in the center of the triangles.
Mm-hmm.
And I did meant to, just as a footnote that I forgot, 7s are the only type that take hold of what they want through thinking. The other 2 processors with thinking are going to withdraw to get what they want through thinking.
Mm.
And so 1s, 4s, and 7s are the outliers.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that their stance of their processing center are different than the other 2.
Yeah.
Good work.
You too.
I normally start to prepare the ending, around minute, hour, and 40, but
We got to find it all now.
I'm gonna have to think up something else for December. I was absolutely confident I'd have 2 episodes coming out this second.
we hit that weird spot where I used all of my mental energy, and now I know that I'm done. And so, like, I'm not even hearing all of the words that you're saying. It's just.
I am also in that spot.
Yeah.
So we can start a support group. You know what? I got something to promote.
Okay.
I know I've said this to you, but I'm flabbergasted by how much I'm enjoying it. If you have not yet looked at audiobooks on Spotify, you're missing out.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm never going to buy a book again, apparently. I listen to half my books anyway.
That is until Spotify goes bankrupt and shuts down.
It
But
could.
that's a separate discussion. This isn't a business podcast.
It could be the case that they're losing a lot of money on this. I'm listening to new releases for free all the time.
Yeah.
You know what else is on Spotify audiobooks?
What?
I'm only going to say this once. Jeff Cook's 7 is on there. You should pick it up for free if you're just kind of curious about stuff that I wrote when I was young, dumb, and broke.
But also, it's a great book. So
Thank you.
it is a Jesus book, though. So be prepared for that.
It's on the Passions. It's on the Deadly Sins and the Beatitudes. So if you're into the stuff we just did on the Deadly Sins and Passions here at the end, hey, there's more of it.
Yep, it's true.
Actually, the last chapter is actually worth listening to if you get into Bible stuff. Oh, but it's I listened to Wrecking Twitter, which was just incredible, and
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I believe you.
The guy who did the Social Network, who wrote the Social Network.
Oh yeah, sure.
The book was called The Accidental Billionaire, but he just wrote one on just the last year of Elon Musk's life.
Oh
and the experience at Twitter. Last line of the book, spoiler, is Elon Musk didn't really wreck Twitter. Twitter wrecked Elon Musk, and that's essentially the thesis. It was super clever.
That's great.
As always, if you have friends who are just getting into the Enneagram or want to get into the Enneagram, our Start Here podcast continues to have about 1,000 new listeners a month. I'm always shocked by that, and I'm just super grateful for those of you who recommend it. But apparently it's been a worthy tool for some folks. So look up Start Here if you have friends who want to get into the Enneagram. Also, all of our movie podcasts are at Movie Typing. And so those are our 3 podcasts. You can find those at our website, which is aroundthecircle.org. And hey, if you really believe in our work, we don't say this very often, but if you want to support the work we do, it does cost us some. We have a Patreon website, and there's still 20 or 30 people who are incredibly gracious who continue to support us monthly there. So much love again to y'all. That's what I got. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
He checked out a while ago. He's TJ Wilson.
Yeah. I have no idea what's going on right now.
He's officially awesome. I'm Jeff Cook. And who you aren't isn't interesting.